Welcome my YouTube channel story time. Thank you for love my second part. This is third part for you. What happens when your darkest fears come face to face with your greatest love? Find out in today's part. If you like this story, please don't forget like, subscribe and share. If you want I uploaded fourth part too, please comment. Keanu sat on the edge of his bed, staring out the window as the late afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the city. The world outside seemed peaceful, calm, so different from the chaos he often felt inside. It had been a few months since he moved in with Lily and Emma, and he had finally started to feel like maybe, just maybe, he was beginning to heal. His bond with Lily had grown stronger with each passing day, and Emma had become a bright light in his life, offering a kind of joy he hadn't known he needed. They had become his anchor, a family he never thought he would find. Yet, despite the warmth he felt from them, there was a part of him that couldn't shake the past. The sound of a knock at the door broke his thoughts. Keanu stood up slowly, his heart racing as he made his way to answer it. Standing in the doorway was a figure he hadn't seen in years, Marcus, an old acquaintance from his past. "Keanu," Marcus said, his tone cold and distant, "we need to talk." Keanu's mind went into overdrive. The man in front of him was a reminder of everything he had tried to bury. Marcus had been a part of his life during darker days, days filled with regret and mistakes he wished he could forget. But now, seeing him again, those memories flooded back with a vengeance. "What do you want?" Keanu asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I know you're trying to move on," Marcus began, his eyes scanning the room behind Keanu, "but you can't outrun your past forever. It's going to catch up with you sooner or later." Keanu's chest tightened. His thoughts raced as he tried to make sense of why Marcus had shown up now, at this crucial point in his life. Everything had been going well, Lily, Emma, the life he was slowly building, and now this. Later that evening, as Keanu sat in the living room, the weight of the conversation lingered in his mind. Lily and Emma were out shopping, giving him a rare moment of solitude. He couldn't shake the feeling that his past was once again threatening to destroy everything he had built. He had always thought he could keep the past buried, but Marcus's words were a stark reminder that old wounds never really heal, they just wait for the right moment to reopen. He had spent so long running from the pain, but now it seemed unavoidable. Keanu had promised Lily that he would share his past with her when the time was right. But the truth was, he wasn't sure when or how to begin. He was terrified that revealing too much might push her away. As Lily returned home that evening, Keanu stood in the kitchen, trying to act normal, but the tension in the air was palpable. She noticed the change immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice filled with concern as she set down the groceries. Keanu hesitated, his hand gripping the edge of the counter. "I ran into someone today. Someone from my past." Lily raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Marcus," Keanu said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "He's someone I used to know. Someone, not good for me." Lily walked over to him, her hand gently resting on his arm. "Keanu, I can tell something is weighing on you. You don't have to carry it alone." Keanu turned to face her, his eyes full of regret. "I don't know if I can tell you everything. Some things, they're not easy to share." Lily nodded, her eyes soft and understanding. "You don't have to tell me everything right now, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I won't judge you, Keanu. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." Her words were like a balm to his wounded soul. Maybe it wasn't too late to confront his past. Maybe, with Lily by his side, he could finally lay the ghosts to rest. As the days went by, Keanu couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone in his struggles. Lily's unwavering support gave him the courage to confront the shadows of his past. But the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. There were still painful memories to face, truths to be told, and decisions to be made. But for the first time in a long time, Keanu believed that maybe he could find a way to move forward. And as he watched Lily and Emma laughing together in the living room, he knew that no matter how difficult the road ahead, he would fight to protect the family he had found. The following days were heavy for Keanu. Although Lily's reassuring presence had given him a glimmer of hope, the encounter with Marcus left him unsettled. Every time he closed his eyes, the weight of the past seemed to press harder against his chest. He had hoped that by putting distance between himself and his old life, he could forget the things that haunted him. But Marcus's sudden reappearance was a reminder that some battles were far from over. It was late one evening when Keanu was sitting in his office, trying to focus on the work he had been avoiding, when the doorbell rang. He stood up, his heart beating faster, instinctively knowing that it wasn't Lily or Emma returning from their outing. He opened the door to find a woman standing there, her face partially hidden behind the hood of her jacket. Her presence seemed out of place, yet there was something familiar about her. She was older, with sharp eyes that seemed to see through him. "Keanu?" she asked, her voice cold and detached. "Yes," he replied, his mind racing. "Who are you?" "I'm Eva," she said, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You don't remember me, do you?" Keanu's pulse quickened. He searched his memory, but nothing came to mind. "No, I don't. Should I?" Eva's lips curled into a tight smile, a hint of bitterness in her eyes. "I knew Marcus. And I know what he's capable of. He hasn't come here just to catch up. He's here to make sure you don't forget who you were." Keanu's stomach dropped. "What do you want from me?" "I want to warn you," Eva said, her tone lowering. "You think you can outrun your past, but Marcus doesn't let people forget. He's dangerous, and he has a way of pulling people back into his world. Be careful, Keanu. You think you've moved on, but the past, it always finds a way back." The words lingered in Keanu's mind long after Eva had left. He knew Marcus wasn't someone from his past who would let go easily. But he had built something different now, something worth protecting. Lily, Emma, his life with them, it all seemed so fragile when viewed through the lens of his past mistakes. As the days passed, Keanu grew more restless. He couldn't shake the feeling that the calm he had found in Lily's arms was slipping away. Every time he looked at her, he was reminded of the life he had built, but also of the threat that loomed over him. Could he protect them both from the shadows that still clung to him? Lily's growing concern. Lily noticed the change in Keanu immediately. She had always been attuned to the subtle shifts in his mood, and lately, he seemed distant, his mind often wandering to places she couldn't reach. The man she knew, strong, supportive, kind, was no longer as present as he had been before. Something was weighing heavily on him, and she had no idea what it was. One evening, she found him staring out of the window again, the familiar look of worry etched across his face. "Keanu, what's going on?" she asked gently, stepping closer to him. He turned toward her, a deep sadness in his eyes. "I thought I could leave it all behind," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "But I can't. The past doesn't let you go so easily." Lily's heart tightened. She had always known that Keanu wasn't defined by his mistakes, but hearing him admit that his past was catching up to him sent a chill through her. "What past, Keanu? What's happening?" she asked, her voice full of concern. Keanu took a deep breath and ran his fingers through his hair. He could feel the weight of his decision to tell her everything, knowing it would change things forever. He didn't want to burden her with his demons, but he also knew that he couldn't keep carrying them alone. "I need to tell you everything," he said, his voice shaky with uncertainty. "About Marcus. About what happened before I met you." Later that night, Keanu opened up to Lily in a way he never had before. He told her about Marcus, the toxic relationship they had shared, the dangerous things they had done together, and the series of decisions that had led him down a dark path. He spoke of the mistakes he had made, the people he had hurt, and how he had spent years running from the man he had been. Lily listened in silence, her hand resting gently on his. Her heart ached for the man she loved. He was not the person she had imagined, but her compassion for him only grew stronger as she understood the depth of his pain. "Keanu, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I had no idea. But we'll face this together, okay? You're not alone anymore." But even as she spoke those words, Keanu couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get much worse. The warning from Eva echoed in his mind. Marcus wasn't done with him, and neither was the past. As the night wore on, Keanu couldn't help but feel a sense of dread settle over him. He had finally opened up to Lily, and while her support was everything he had hoped for, he feared it wouldn't be enough to protect her from what was to come. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her, or of bringing the darkness of his past into their present. And as the doorbell rang again the next evening, Keanu knew, without a doubt, that Marcus was closing in. The following day felt different. The air seemed heavier, filled with a sense of inevitability that Keanu couldn't shake. After the conversation with Lily, he thought he might feel lighter, relieved, even. But instead, a thick fog of anxiety surrounded him. He knew Marcus wouldn't just disappear. The past always found a way to resurface, and Keanu couldn't stop it. The phone call came late that night. It was unexpected, a sharp ring that jolted him from a restless sleep. He picked up, his heart pounding, recognizing the voice on the other end immediately. "Keanu, you need to come here. Now." It was Marcus's voice, calm but laced with a warning Keanu had learned to fear. "What's going on?" Keanu asked, his voice barely a whisper. "You'll find out soon enough," Marcus said, and the line went dead. Keanu's hands shook as he lowered the phone. His mind raced. What was this about? Why now? He had hoped that by distancing himself from Marcus, he could keep him out of his life. But this felt different, darker. A knot tightened in Keanu's stomach, his thoughts turning to Lily and Emma. He couldn't bring them into this. Not now. Lily stirred beside him, still asleep. Keanu gently kissed her forehead before slipping out of bed. His thoughts were torn, he couldn't ignore the call. Something told him this wasn't just about him anymore, it was about protecting the family he had found. Keanu arrived at the meeting spot Marcus had insisted on, the same dark alleyway where he had once made deals that left him questioning his morality. It felt like a lifetime ago, but now it was too real, too close to home. Marcus was waiting for him, leaning against a rusted dumpster. His presence was as unsettling as ever, though there was something different in his eyes, something more dangerous. "You came," Marcus said, his lips curling into a twisted smile. Keanu didn't reply, his gaze hardening. "What do you want from me, Marcus?" The man shrugged. "Not much. Just a little bit of closure, from you." Keanu's pulse quickened. He had a bad feeling about where this was going. "You've been running for years, Keanu," Marcus continued, his tone menacing. "You think you can hide from the past? From me? It's time to make things right." Without warning, Marcus's hand shot out, grabbing Keanu by the collar and slamming him against the brick wall. Keanu grunted in pain, but his resolve remained unshaken. "I'm done with you. I left that life behind." Marcus sneered. "It's never that easy. You can't just walk away from the mistakes you've made. You know that as well as I do." Keanu struggled to break free, but Marcus's grip was like iron. "You're wrong," he gasped. "I've changed. I'm not that man anymore." Marcus's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Keanu saw something almost vulnerable in his old friend. But it was fleeting, quickly replaced by the familiar darkness. "You can fool yourself, but you can't fool me," Marcus spat. "I'll show you just how much of your past is still here. You're not as free as you think you are." Back at home, Lily woke to an empty bed and a note from Keanu, telling her he had to take care of something. But she could sense the tension, the weight in the air. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. And when she checked her phone, there was a message from Keanu. I need you to be strong. Please, don't panic. I'll be back soon. Asterisk. Her heart raced, and for the first time, she felt the true danger of the situation they were in. Something was about to break, and she feared she might not be able to hold on to Keanu, or the life they had built. As Keanu struggled to get free from Marcus's grip, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold, a gunshot. Everything happened in slow motion. Marcus's expression twisted in rage, and Keanu spun around, just in time to see someone in the shadows raise a gun and fire. The shot hit Marcus square in the chest, and he fell to the ground with a violent thud. Keanu's heart stopped as he watched Marcus, the man who had once been his closest ally, lying motionless. The figure who had shot Marcus stepped forward, his face hidden in the shadows. Keanu's mind raced. Who was this? What did they want? You're not safe, Keanu, the stranger said, his voice low and clipped. You never were. Keanu could barely process what had just happened. The world around him felt like it was spinning, and his mind was caught between the reality of the moment and the ghosts of his past. The following hours were a blur. Keanu called the police, but the stranger was gone before they arrived. They found Marcus's body, but no trace of the person who had fired the shot. Keanu was left standing in the cold, his heart racing, with more questions than answers. He knew one thing for sure, though, the past wasn't just behind him. It was clawing at him, pulling him back into a world he had long since tried to escape. When Keanu finally returned home, his hands trembling, Lily was waiting for him, her eyes filled with worry. Keanu, she whispered, what happened? Where were you? Keanu stood in the doorway, his eyes full of guilt and pain. I thought I could protect you, he said hoarsely. But the past, it's not done with me. Lily looked at Keanu, the man she loved, the man who had opened his heart to her. She could see the toll this was taking on him, but in that moment, she also knew something else. She had been living in a world of her own making, thinking that love alone could protect them. She stepped forward, wrapping her arms around him. We'll face this together, Keanu. Whatever happens, we're in this together. Keanu closed his eyes, the weight of everything pressing down on him. He had lost so much in his life. But in that moment, he realized something, the future he was fighting for wasn't just his own. It was Lily's. It was Emma's. It was theirs. Days passed, but the shadow of the past continued to loom over Keanu. He had barely slept, and each time his phone rang, his heart skipped a beat, expecting another crisis, another threat. Lily, Emma, and even the calm of their home couldn't shield him from the storm brewing within. But Lily refused to let him face this alone. One evening, Lily gently asked Keanu to sit down with her after dinner. She could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the pain he was trying to hide. They sat together on the couch, the weight of the world pressing in around them. Keanu, Lily began, her voice soft but firm. I know you're trying to protect us, but you can't do it alone. You don't have to carry this burden on your own anymore. Keanu looked away, his jaw clenched. I've made too many mistakes, Lily. You don't understand, there are things I can't undo. People from my past, things I've done. If they come after me, they'll come after you too. Lily reached out, placing a hand on his. I understand that you've been through a lot, but I can't live in fear with you. You're not alone anymore. We've built something together, Keanu. A family. And that means we face things together, no matter what. Keanu met her gaze, the vulnerability in his eyes making her heart ache. I don't want to drag you and Emma into this. You've both been through enough. Lily's grip on his hand tightened. Keanu, the past doesn't define us. You've made mistakes, but you've also fought to make things right. I know who you are now. I believe in you. And I believe in us. Tears welled up in Keanu's eyes, but he fought them back. What if it's not enough? What if they come for you, or Emma? Lily smiled softly. We won't let them. We'll stand together, no matter what. Keanu knew Lily was right. He couldn't keep running from his past forever. He had to face it head on, for her, for Emma, for the future they were trying to build. The next day, he made a decision that would change everything. He called Marcus's former associates, determined to make peace with the demons he had spent so long hiding from. The meeting was set at a small cafe, far from the eyes of anyone who knew them. Keanu sat at a corner table, his palms sweating as he waited. He didn't know what to expect, what price he would have to pay for his past, but he was ready to do whatever it took to protect the life he had now. When the door opened, a familiar figure walked in. It was one of Marcus's old associates, but this time, the man's expression was calm, almost weary. The man took a seat across from Keanu, studying him silently. Keanu, the man said, his voice gruff. You've been avoiding this for too long. Keanu nodded. I know. I'm here to make things right. I can't keep running. I've built a life now, a family. I won't let my past destroy it. The man leaned in, his eyes narrowing. The past doesn't disappear, Keanu. But if you're serious about leaving it behind, there's a way forward. You'll need to sever ties completely. Cut all connections. For good. Keanu felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everything he had fought for with Lily and Emma. He took a deep breath, knowing there was no going back. I'm ready, Keanu said, his voice steady. I'll do whatever it takes. After the meeting, Keanu felt a strange sense of calm wash over him. It wasn't over, not yet, but he had taken the first step. He called Lily as he walked back home, his phone pressed to his ear. Lily, he said, his voice soft but full of resolve, I did it. I'm cutting ties with my past. It's over. On the other end of the line, Lily's voice was filled with warmth and relief. Keanu, I'm so proud of you. You're doing the right thing. We'll get through this together. Keanu closed his eyes, letting the weight of the moment sink in. For the first time in a long time, he felt a glimmer of hope. That night, Keanu returned home to Lily and Emma, who were waiting for him. Emma had been excited all day, telling Keanu how she had learned to ride her bike without training wheels. Keanu's heart swelled with pride as he watched her run up to him, her face beaming. Uncle Keanu. Look, I did it. Emma exclaimed, pointing to her bike. Keanu smiled, his heart light. I'm so proud of you, kiddo. Lily stood up from the couch, walking toward him. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him tight. We're in this together, she whispered. Keanu held her close, feeling the warmth of her embrace. It was a simple moment, but it meant everything. For the first time in a long time, Keanu knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, stronger than ever. The days that followed weren't easy, but Keanu's resolve grew stronger with each passing day. He worked tirelessly to put his past behind him, cutting off every connection that had once threatened his future. Lily supported him every step of the way, and Emma's laughter filled their home with joy. Though the road ahead was uncertain, Keanu knew one thing for sure, he would fight for his family. He would protect Lily and Emma, no matter what it took. And as they stood together, looking toward the future, Keanu realized that the love they had built was stronger than any fear, stronger than any past mistake. It was a love that could overcome anything. The days after Keanu's decision to sever ties with his past were filled with both relief and uncertainty. Though he had taken the first step toward healing, there was still a long road ahead. But the strength of his love for Lily and Emma gave him the courage to continue on this path, even when the future seemed unclear. Keanu's phone remained quiet, and for the first time in years, he felt like he could breathe without the constant weight of looming threats. Still, a nagging feeling lingered. He knew the past wasn't done with him yet, it never truly was. But now, he had something worth fighting for. One evening, after a long day of work, Keanu arrived home to find Lily and Emma sitting together on the porch. The soft glow of the setting sun bathed their faces in warmth, and the peaceful scene grounded him. Lily looked up, her eyes filled with concern but also understanding. "How are you feeling?" Keanu sat down beside her, taking a deep breath. "I feel lighter, but I can't help but wonder if the past will ever truly let me go." Lily placed a hand on his. "It might always be a part of you, but it doesn't have to define you. We're in this together, Keanu. You've already done the hardest part, facing it head on. The rest, we'll take one step at a time." Emma, who had been playing with her toys, suddenly ran up to Keanu. "Uncle Keanu, look what I made," she said, holding up a picture she had drawn. Keanu smiled as he took the drawing from her. It was a picture of a house, with a smiling sun above it, and a little family standing in front. "It's beautiful, Emma," he said, feeling his heart swell. "This is us. We're going to be okay." Lily smiled at the exchange, her heart swelling with love. "Yes, we are. Together, we'll be okay." The following weeks brought a sense of peace to their home. While Keanu continued to work through his past, the presence of Lily and Emma became his anchor, grounding him in the present. They spent their evenings together, watching movies, cooking meals, and making memories that would last a lifetime. One night, as they all sat on the couch, Emma climbed into Keanu's lap, her head resting against his chest. Lily looked over at them, a soft smile on her lips. For the first time in a long time, Keanu felt the warmth of a family that had chosen him, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. "You've come so far," Lily said, her voice filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you, Keanu." Keanu gently kissed Emma's head before replying, his voice thick with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you, Lily. You gave me a reason to keep fighting. You and Emma, you've given me everything." Lily squeezed his hand, her eyes filled with love. "We gave you a family. And you gave us your heart. That's all we'll ever need." But just as things seemed to settle, the final test came. Keanu received a call late one night from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was cold, familiar, and full of menace. "Keanu," the voice said, "you thought you could run from your past. But we haven't forgotten you." Keanu's heart raced, but he stayed calm. He had come too far to let fear take over now. "You don't control me anymore," Keanu replied, his voice steady. "And you won't control my family either. Stay away from us." There was a long pause before the voice laughed, low and dangerous. "We'll see about that." The call ended abruptly, leaving Keanu staring at his phone, the weight of the threat hanging over him once more. But this time, he wasn't alone. He had Lily. He had Emma. He had a family that would fight for him, just as he would fight for them. Keanu walked to the living room, where Lily was waiting. Her eyes were filled with concern as she saw the look on his face. "Keanu, what happened?" she asked. Keanu took a deep breath. "They called. But this time, I won't let them win." Lily stood up and walked toward him, her expression determined. "We'll face this together, Keanu. We've already come so far. Whatever comes next, we're in this as a family. You're not alone." Keanu knew this was the moment. His past might never fully fade, but he didn't have to let it dictate his future. He had a family now, Lily and Emma, and they had given him the strength to confront the things he had been running from for so long. The next day, Keanu made the decision to take action. With Lily's support, he reached out to the authorities and took steps to ensure that his past could no longer threaten the life he had built. It wasn't an easy process, but together, they faced it head-on, determined to protect their future. Months passed, and slowly but surely, Keanu's past grew further and further behind him. The threat subsided, and his life with Lily and Emma became more stable, more peaceful. They had come through the storm together, stronger and more united than ever. On the day that Keanu officially closed the chapter on his past, he stood with Lily and Emma in their backyard, looking out at the horizon. The future stretched before them, full of possibilities and hope. "We've made it," Keanu said, his voice filled with awe. Lily smiled and wrapped her arms around him. "We're just getting started." As Emma ran toward them, laughing and carefree, Keanu realized that the true meaning of home wasn't just a place, it was the people you loved, the ones who stood by you no matter what. And with Lily and Emma, he knew he had found his home. Together, they looked ahead at the future, knowing that no matter what came their way, they would face it together, as a family, forever united. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget like, subscribe and share. And where from you watching my video?